In spectacular fashion, there have been 16 occasions in VFL AFL history, 16 occasions where a team has been dominant throughout the season, finishing on top as minor premiers, but then have gone out in straight sets in the final series. And today, we're going to take a look at all of them. Well, the ones after 1945 at least. Any before then are pretty much irrelevant because of the old finals format. See, back then, if a team finished on top and lost in week 1 of finals, they made the grand final anyways. So where's the fun in that? What teams were that, you may ask? Well, there's Collingwood in 1922, 1915 and 1905, Carlton in 1921 and 1910, Geelong in 1901 and South Melbourne in 1912. Anyway, now with that out of the way, let's begin with the most recent one of all, the 2025 Adelaide Crows. Adelaide were just incredible to watch this season, winning some close and memorable games, while also being robbed on some occasions. Gold Coast, Collingwood. But Adelaide were one of the teams to beat come round 16 with the highest percentage in the league, and moving up the ladder before taking out the minor premiership with a whopping 72 points, getting 18 wins from 23 games. However, after losing Isaac Rankin due to suspension and little finals experience, they lost to Collingwood in the first week of the finals by 24 points, and then only recently, Hawthorn in disastrous fashion by 34. I really don't know what went wrong, but I might have to blame the little finals experience from both players and Matthew Nicks. But then again, how the heck would you lose to Hawthorn? 1983 North Melbourne. After what was a dominant North Melbourne season, they finished the 1983 season with a reasonable okay record of 16 wins and 6 losses, and finished a win in front of Hawthorn, Fitzroy and Essendon. I won't lie, they weren't the most consistent minor premiers of all time. I mean, they quite literally got obliterated by Fitzroy by 150 points that same season. But the Roos went into the finals with full confidence, and when finished first back then, they were put into a semi-final and would take on the winner of Hawthorn and Fitzroy. With the Hawks winning, they took on the minor premiers and completely dominated them by 40 points. And with North Melbourne getting a second chance against Essendon in the prelim at Waverley, that game, well, they would get embarrassed, and one they would like to forget against Essendon. The first place Roos with a pretty good 12-6-78, which, yeah, it's not a bad score at all, but with Essendon ending up with 25 goals, 14 behinds, and 164, then it really means nothing. And before Adelaide last night, at the time of recording this, they were the last team that finished first and went out in straight sets. 1980 Geelong. In a more closer first place fight, Geelong were just able to nudge out Carlton to grab the minor premiership, which is surprising as Geelong started 0-2 and Carlton started 5-0. But an incredible late Cats run, only losing one game since round 10, was enough to give them the semi-final spot ahead of the Blues. However, things didn't fall in play for Geelong as Richmond beat them at Waverley by 24 points, then in the second chance against Collingwood, barely missing out on the grand final, losing by just 4 points in a close finish to the game. I mean, probably not the most shocking exit of all time, but it's a minor premier nonetheless, which, to my boys, gotta hurt. 1976 Carlton. Similar to Geelong, there was 76 Carlton, who were another one of those minor premiers who just got it by the skin of their teeth. Carlton were at full force to begin the season, starting 7-0 and didn't look like dropping game at all until round 8 to 12. However, they got back into form and didn't lose a game for the rest of the season. Until finals. Heartbreakingly, Carlton suffered a loss to Hawthorn off the back of beating North Melbourne the week prior in the qualifying final, and then in the prelim, another sad way to go out thanks to North Melbourne managing a shattering 1-point win and sent Carlton out. I never realised how often minor premiers went out in straight sets around the 70s. And this next one's quite bizarre. 1973 Collingwood. This team was by far one of the favourites to win the flag since round 15 in 1973. At that time, they'd only lost one game and comfortably sat on top of the ladder. Collingwood were tearing the competition to shreds week by week and really weren't competing with anyone else. They finished first with 19 wins and 3 losses, 2 wins above second. In finals, when Carlton beat Richmond in the qualifying final, they got the matchup against their rivals and then won that by 20 points, putting the Magpies into a prelim and the Blues into the grand final. And then in a great preliminary final, Collingwood took Richmond all the way, but it wasn't enough for the victory as the Tigers, in front of 98,000 people, beat Collingwood by 7 points. And they also made Collingwood the first team to go out in straight sets since the introduction of the 5-team finals format. Sorry Pies fans, but again, you're on this list. 1969 Collingwood. 1969 was a big year for both Collingwood and Carlton, the two having two very separate seasons, with Carlton starting well again and Collingwood starting very poor. But at the season's end, it was the other way around, with Carlton finishing with losing 3 out of their last 4 and Collingwood on a 5-game win streak coming into finals, and thanks to percentage, they got top spot. But finals was a letdown for the black and white. Comparing both games, the Pies started well in both the semis and the preliminary final, but ended in a very disastrous way, losing by 36 and 26 points at the hands of Carlton and Richmond. 1954 Geelong. 1954 Geelong, I have to admit, were a very shaky team to the start of the year. Geelong became instant premiership favourites, winning 8 in a row and a win and a draw above Footscray, who won the premiership. Geelong took on Footscray in the semi-final, and after leading all game till three-quarter time, couldn't keep up the momentum and lost by 22. And painfully for the prelim, it only lasted until half-time against Melbourne, leading by 6 at both breaks, and dropping the ball and lost by 17 points. I really want to stop talking about this because it's hurting me inside. Yeah, if you're new to the channel, I'm a Cats fan. And if you are new to this channel, consider subscribing and becoming a member as well. Like up the video, do whatever, get around the channel. There's more great content coming. You don't want to miss out. 1949 North Melbourne. North were an interesting team this year, beginning 5-3 and having a very great end of the season. They also had won 6 games out of their 14 wins by less than 17 points. Now, you're thinking, well, 17 points is still not that bad, right? Well, comparing North Melbourne to the other 3 finalists, they didn't stand a chance. Versing Carlton in the semi-final, after leading at the end of both half-time and three-quarter time by 6 points, Carlton answered the call and won by 10 points, matching North Melbourne and Essendon up in the prelim final. And that game saw Essendon lead all game and send North Melbourne out in straight sets again. I remind that North hadn't even played in a grand final by this stage, so the experience might have let them down, but you just never know what really happened to these minor premiers, eh? Originally, I was going to talk about 1941 Carlton, but the season was very balanced and it wasn't really a shock at all, so we're not going to go into too much detail. So Blues fans, you can breathe. And so guys, that was every VFL, AFL minor premier that has gone out in straight sets in the AFL final series. If you enjoyed today's video and would like to see more in the future like this, leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and also, what do you think of this new video format? I'm going to try and give it a bit of a try for a little bit and see if you guys like it or not, but let me know in the comments down below. Leave a like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss out on any new videos, and consider becoming a member as well for more support on the channel and early access to videos. Anyway guys, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. See yous.